Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty Bestball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show. Let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building. He gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean. They made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devy, that's the team. Dynasty football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team.
Welcome back in, everybody, to another edition of the Dynasty Trade Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the fact that we're doing 2 of these every single week. So many damn trades to do. Couldn't hold it all in one episode, even though the last one, Adam, it's premiering tonight while we're recording this one for the future.
Yep.
I had to look at it, man. I forgot it was like an hour and like 15 minutes long. Holy hell.
Yeah, man. We were talking, we were getting through them, you know?
Thanks everybody for tapping in. If you do us a giant favor, go down, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and engage with us in the comments. I love talking. I love getting the feedback of what these trades are, what you guys think of them, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they're crazy, either way. And be sure that you're checking out the new website, southharmonff.com. The WoRP tool is incredible, and if you want to score some South Harmon merch, it's on there, man. I keep putting more and more up every day, trying to get the cool designs. Adam out here just hit me up with all kinds of goodies. So how you doing, buddy? Ready to do some more trades?
I'm always ready to do trades, so excited for another edition of the trade show. Like Mike said, make sure you're doing all those other things. If you do want your deals featured on the show, the only other thing would be patreon.com/South Harmon. Fizzle told it to you here in the intro, but if you want your deals featured on the show, that's the way to do so in the Shithead Trades channel. $1 a month gets you in the door. But Mike, without further ado, Fizzle told you, let's get into the deals, man. Let's see what, this time we're going to take a look at mine. So, Mike, let's talk about it, man. This is in the OG shit league, all right? This is a 12-team Superflex Best Ball Start 13. So this is a team where I quarterback hoarded and just collected picks for 2 years. Basically had them all. And these were the last 2 24s I actually had, Mike. Trying to do something a little different here. So these 2 are projected very early. One is Roster Baiters, who, you know, making the trade with Cody. One of his teams that he was good with, but I don't think that he won, and now he's like, all right, it's definitely time to re-roll this thing. Mellows is definitely in the conversation for early as well. I sent a 24-second and a 25-second on top of that with Quentin Johnson, Zach Charbonnet, and Trey Lance. So a lot of moving parts. 2 projected early first, a couple seconds, Quentin Johnson, Charbonnet, Trey Lance. I am receiving on the other end Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, who you and I kind of dunk on, but at least throws in the stack for me, as well as Pacheco and Tyler Lockett. Mike, what do you think about this deal, man? A lot of moving parts. I'm curious your thoughts.
All right. So the biggest piece in there, obviously, Josh Allen. What do you think? I mean, I think even in a best ball, he's worth every bit of 3 firsts. Right?
I would agree.
I don't really give a shit where they project either, right? We're talking 24. They could be anything. So,
yep.
Man, so what do you got? 2 firsts on the other side? Where do you get the third one from? I guess I could put it on like Trey Lance, maybe.
Yeah. Could you put Charbonnet as a first round pick? Late first? No. Quentin Johnson got to be a first round pick, right? If you did him?
Yeah.
Okay. What about 2 firsts and Quentin Johnson then?
For Allen in a best ball league, and if you projected one of them to be early, like if that's what you were banking on, yeah.
Especially because I think that Mellows is going to probably I don't see how it's not early for his, but especially having your control of your own to make sure it's early, that guarantees you 1.
So, let's just do a QJ and the 2 firsts for Josh Allen. Boom.
Okay.
We can cut that part out.
Yep.
Diggs for Lance and Charbonnet. I want I want the Diggs side. Is this crazy? I like Lance too. Damn.
I don't think that would be a horrible one though. Diggs and if you get Lance and Charbonnet, like it's not a horrible value wise if you're rebuilding. But obviously, if you're contending, you know you're not going to get the points out of those guys likely that you do at Diggs, unless Lance bounces back to tremendous heights.
And then 3 options in best ball: Lockett, Gabe Davis, Pacheco for a couple seconds.
Yep.
And it's probably light for the 3 pieces that you're getting, right? None of them are horrible. Lockett's actually pretty damn good, especially for best ball. Gabe Davis, the stack. And then Pacheco. I'm not like a big Pacheco guy, but it's just kind of whatever, right?
I just threw him in there. It was kind of getting the pieces that, like, Pacheco doesn't really help a rebuilder. Let's call that what it is, right? Like, I don't love him, but at least it kind of fit the trade. Lockett again, like, he doesn't – what's he going to do with Lockett other than try to trade for DC later? So that's kind of the essence of the deal. I would say this, Mike, as you're grading through this, it sounds like to me you're leaning my side versus his. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, you got the better pieces, right? You got the 2 best pieces in the entire deal. Right, Josh Allen and Diggs. It just happens that they're a stack.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this though, because this is where I guess we have to have the conversation and how much. Let's say, Mike, those are early first. Let's say he can get his to be 101, and let's say the other one's a top 3 pick too, because that's what they really project to be. Let's just say for a second that we could lock them in. Obviously, we can't, but let's say we could. If this is 101, like if you end up walking away with Caleb Williams and Drake May, or Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison, or even Drake May and Marvin Harrison, is there a scenario where those 2 guys are either worth Josh Allen or that at least they could be ahead of Diggs this time next year?
They would definitely be ahead of Diggs.
Right.
It's going to be hard to reach the Josh Allen thing, right?
No, they're not going to go ahead of him. I just mean, like in a best ball, would you take those 2 quarterbacks, high-end rookies, and good quarterbacks that we project for Josh Allen? Is that enough? No? Okay. No. So then let's say –
I mean, we're having conversations right now, just shout out to our guy JB about what we do in specific leagues. And it's like, would you put a first and Fields together to go get Hurts? And to be all honest, depending on the league type, yeah, it makes some sense. I don't want to do it because I believe that much in Fields, but that's the value. I mean, you're talking about a QB8 to a QB2 or 3, which is also the same conversation you'd be having with Josh Allen, and you're talking about adding a future first to it just generically. It isn't like you're going from Trey Lance up to Josh Allen, or you're going from a Kirk Cousins, or you're going from, QB 15-ish up to QB2. You're going from somebody who's an elite asset at quarterback already that you're trading up. So you talking next year. I mean, Caleb Williams, Drake May, they're both phenomenal, but it's still a year out. We still don't really know how the community is going to value them, and to just think that they're going to walk in and already be, top 9, top 10, top 8 QB assets without doing a damn thing in the NFL with the guys that we already have there is kind of asinine. You know what I mean? Like that value, it's going to take them doing something on the NFL field to be up into that tier. They're not just going to be anointed there already.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess, and the reason I want to have the conversation is because, like, we're looking right now, Mike, Anthony Richardson, quarterback 9. Nobody even thought he'd even be close to that.
Right.
Like, I don't know that it's the right process, but I think the community, the way it's currently is, like, I think Caleb Williams is going to be keep trade cut quarterback 7 next year, just because people are crazy. You got A-Rich at 9, you got Bryce Young and Stroud like at 10 and 11. Now, like Caleb Williams, unless he gets hurt, I think people are going to be creaming over him. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be going crazy high in the wide receiver conversation. Like, I can guarantee you that part, right? Like, look what we're doing with JSN, and we know he's not Marvin Harrison as a prospect. So the reason I wanted to say all that, and the 24-second, I think here, if you can control it, make it early as well. I think I got the bet. I like my end of the deal, obviously, but yes. Like if. Here's the other thing about it, right? So let me just ask you this, Mike. If you said the 224 early ones are light for Allen, let's just say that we start there, but it's better on my side at that point. So at that point, then Quentin Johnson and Trey Lance for Stephon Diggs, is that a different conversation for you than Charbonnet and Lance? Let's say
Quentin Johnson
and Lance for Diggs.
Yeah, that's much in a best ball and
much better, right?
It's much better, yeah.
And then so then I would say Charbonnet over Pacheco, or at least even, right?
Yeah, over.
Okay, And then I would say an early second over Gabe Davis.
Oh, for sure.
And then I would say, 25 second versus Lockett. Maybe you aren't losing. Maybe you aren't winning that one, but like a second for Lockett is basically what you're trying to get out of him if you're rebuilding, right?
Right.
So I think if you do it that way, I'm not even going to say that it makes it where he's winning, but I think it's closer when you kind of break it down the way that I'm looking at it there. I will say this: the other big part of it, Mike, is I obviously want Josh Allen, but he obviously needs to rebuild, and I have his picks. That's part of the problem. When you have someone has your picks and you want to rebuild,
you have the leverage.
The other person has the leverage. So I like my deal better. I like my side better, but I also think given the leverage, Cody didn't do horrible, man, personally.
He didn't do horrible, but there's no scenario where I look at it and I go, I want his side over yours. So
if someone had you by the balls here, is this a trade you would make and kind of lose it to get the rebuild going? Okay.
No.
Fair enough.
No, you got my picks, Adam. Like if you had my picks here in this situation, I still have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Like I'm just going to figure out a way to keep it going for another year. Right?
Okay.
Because I want to hurt you. I want to punish you. You have my pick. I ain't letting you out off the hook, right? But a lot of people can't do it. They're like, I got to rebuild. I got to go. I got to do this right now. You don't have to.
I guess the difference too is
I could piece together some dog shit and just try to hope for variance for another year. And
I was going to say
Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Tyler Lockett, Pacheco, like what he actually had on his team, he could have made it work. Now, is he going to win a title or is he locked in? Probably not. But is he going to make that pick the 108, the 109 next year? And now it doesn't look as good for you? Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the other thing. I don't think you, even when you screw up a best ball roster, probably have had it where like you have a lot of holes. The way this league is right now, I don't even think if he was like to try to get crusty, given that he doesn't have picks, that he's guaranteed to even make the playoffs. So I think that's probably what made it a little tougher. Where you probably have a lot more builds where you're like, you know what, man, F it. Like I'm gonna get to the playoffs and I'm gonna see what happens, and I'm not gonna do this to go retool. So probably some little variances there. Let us know what you think of the deal. I know people don't want us to talk about it too much, so I think I like my side of the deal better. And I think at this point now, like getting to Josh Allen makes my team go from the rebuild it was in to all the trades plus this. And now we're ready, and
you're ready to rock and roll. Yeah,
I'm
you
ready
got a
with
good
this
squad
one.
in there. And this is the one for people who follow our content. This is one where you just had a ridiculous amount of picks, right? And you're getting shit forever about, oh, you can't even roster all these picks that you have, blah, 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 blah. Now you have a juggernaut. Now, Juggernaut's going to be contending because you still do have a lot of youthful pieces on it that are going to play key roles. And, we'll see whether or not you get one or two of those guys to pop. Then, yes. If they don't, then you're just you're a playoff team, but we'll see where you're at on it. But you've turned it around from being absolutely horribly dog shit to now like, damn, Adam flipped the script on this one real quick.
Yeah, I think honestly it's my best assembled team so far, but we'll see. You never know. With a lot of the young pieces, you can't guarantee roles for them as far as like contending goes. So
having an entire draft class helps sometimes.
Sometimes, it can at least. All right, let's get into another one, Mike. Evan Ringler, 10-team Superflex, PPR lineup start 11. Okay, so Evan Ringler's receiving the 209, which becomes Kendre Miller, and the 504. He's sending away his 301 and 406. So the 301 becomes Jonathan Mingo, and then 406 is like the 406 and 504 is the difference. So essentially he had this 301, right? He trades up to 209 because he sees Kendre Miller there, gives up the 301. 301 becomes Jonathan Mingo. So let me ask you this. Is there any difference for you? Does it even matter in the deal, the difference in 406 to 504 when you're looking at Kendre versus Mingo?
No.
Okay.
Nope. He went and got his guy, and we had Debro on for the AMA, and he was talking about how easy it was to trade up in this class, right, and all over the place. And we kind of had a nice long discussion just about how the values seem to differ, like after 109. Like from there on out, you can see guys go all over the map. The fact Kendre slipped to the 209, I know it's a 10-team league, is still crazy to me, and good on Evan for recognizing and going like, man, there's no way he should be available here. Let me go ahead and, I'll give you the 301. It's a couple picks later, and I don't even really care about the 5th and the 4th swap. It's ancillary. I would have tossed in my 4th just for shits and giggles. I didn't even need the 5th back. You know what I mean? Like, here you go. This is what the crux of the deal is. You want that extra 4th, by all means, you have it. I want to go get my guy. So I like the fact he moved up for him. I think the crazy thing, though, is the value on Mingo is also all over the place because that's also a guy who sometimes goes in the early part of the second round. But maybe the fact that it's a 10 team, it's a lineup, it's a start 11, like those type of receivers don't carry as much weight because you just don't feel as good about starting them. So I can see why maybe he was slipping. In this case, definitely, I want Kendre in just about any format over Mingo, but in a 10-team league like this, if he was falling to the 209, very, very, very heady move to just, hey, do what it takes to go up and get him. The fact that he got a fifth back is just kind of wild. Like, I need something, man.
I almost wish we had the names here, like what 406 and 504 became, just so that people could get context on, like, I don't know, man. By the mid-fourth in this class, it's dart range. You're probably not going to keep either one of these guys in a lineup, start 11, where there's only 10 teams, per like, being completely honest. I think the big thing here, you mentioned at the end, Mike, is when you look at the format, right? So it's a 10-team league, and we're starting 11 in a lineup. I'm very iffy on Mingo, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I understand the draft capital is great. I understand the profile as far as athleticism is great, right? And the opportunity share he has is great. But, man, I've seen that type of a player in that role, in that mold that I've bought into before burn me. Denzel Mims is the primary one, but there's other guys where it's like, man, I really believed, and then what am I left with? Hopes and prayers and dreams and nothing, right? I would say this, especially in this format, you already kind of touched on it, but like the running back of Kendre Miller and what he could become, I would much rather bet on that in this range than I would on Mingo. What is interesting, though, is like if you would have stayed, like I wouldn't hate Mingo just for value. You could make a trade with a guy like him in this league. But I do like securing Kendre Miller in any draft, in any format. And in this one especially, give me him over Mingo. So I'm with you. Evan Ringler, I think, wins that one, man.
Oh, he killed it.
But it was heady, though. I like that it was very heady. I think you already touched on that as well. All right. Mike, Prevera 2323, blacking out names. Come on, man. Let us see who you got over on. Let us
name and shame, man.
Yeah, man. You know, it's like you're putting a sensor over the guy you dunked on, so you can't see it. Like, you know, I don't have his permission to tell you. But Stafford and Kirk for a 24-second and a 24-third. I mean, this is just stupid. I do know why you put the blackout over the name now when you read through the trade, but because Mike, here's the thing: a single second for Kirk is too light. Period.
Yes.
Even in lineup start 9, too light.
Yes.
Lineup start 9, if you don't want to give up a full first, I can understand it. I'm more in on Kirk than probably most people are. Like, I still want him even in lineup start 9. But like, if you told me something, if you even told me you wanted to get out of that business for 2 seconds, or you could get a first or something, cool. But you're getting 1 second there, and then lineup start 9. Like, Stafford's so all over the place. If I have him on my team as a quarterback 3, I'm fine. I'm not going to move him at crazy values. And if I can buy for a third, Mike, I'm telling you right now, I'll buy for a third in any lineup start 9 league every time. Every single time. Guaranteed 301. There's no way. No chance, man.
Every single time. Every single time, man. Starting quarterback, even the crustiest ones go for a second. Just a random second.
Right.
You want Jimmy G? Probably cost you a second. You want Ryan Tannehill? Probably cost you a second.
Matt Ryan of old when he was about to retire. Big Ben when he's about to retire. These guys all go for seconds, man. And Stafford isn't really as beat up and as old as those guys if we're keeping it honest. Like, I think there's a scenario where he plays another year or two. Right.
He's not as disgusting.
But he's trending that way.
Yes. He has some things that make me worried about him, right? And, if I can move off of him for a decent enough return, like, I'm going to do it. I want to get out from him, but at him at the price of a third, I would buy every single share available. Like, if you told me Matt Stafford only cost me a third in any of the leagues I have, because they're all super flex leagues, I would have said I'll have 100% rostership of Matt Stafford then. At a third, I'm willing to find out, because we see these super, super shitty quarterbacks, super shitty ones in season. You know, the David Blows of the world, the Colt McCoys when they're getting the start, the Jared Stidhams, the Mike Whites. These dudes go for thirds. So, I will take the Matt Stafford thing all day. And you hit it on the head. I don't know if a lot of people really want to pay a first for Christian Kirk. I think he's worth it, but he's at least an early second for me. And however you slice it, he's worth more than just a generic random second in the future.
Right. And this is the other thing, too. Like, I'm seeing Prevera make this trade, right? And this is a young XPR in our Discord. Those are his picks. Like, if those are late, I mean, like, you got to send me, I think, period, you got to send me 2 seconds if I'm rebuilding on Kirk. Something like that in value, right? A down-tier receiver, even something in a second. But even then, even if we added a second to the deal, there's no chance I don't care. I'm not selling Stafford for a third. ever in this lineup start 9. Yeah. Come on, man, just no. Criminal stuff here to start the trade show. All right, Dalton Kincaid is back, man. T-Rock, Mike, this is a league we're in. I believe this is Shit Auction 3. It is a 12-team, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end. That is a big part of this deal. PPR, best ball, 1.75 tight end premium. So, Mike, 12-team. I believe we're starting 12. I should have put that in the settings. Do you have it up?
No, I don't know where we're started. I think it's 12, though.
I believe it's 12. So 12-team, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, PPR, best ball, 1.75 tight end premium. Mike, here's the thing about this one that makes it interesting to see. Like, I don't even know how big Salmon's team is. But when you're talking 2 tight end, the rookie euphoria stuff is still out of hand, but the 2 tight end market totally changes it when you also give it a meaningful tight end premium. So I'm kind of curious here, man. In that format, given the 2 tight ends, are you liquidating Dalton Kincaid for a generic 24?
0 chance, unless I think that team is absolutely horrendous.
That's, I think, you know what, man? And can I say, I think this is why everyone wants us to just rush through these trades a little faster, right? Okay, fine. I get you. You want to hear less of us, our dumbasses, talking at points. Fine. But this is why we actually do. Because if this trade setting, Mike, is 12-team, 2 quarterback, tight end premium PPR, 1 tight end start, I'm having a totally different conversation here. Like, I could make a case for maybe you can get more than a 24 first. But at that point, if we're only starting 1, I understand it. When we got to start 2, and the fact that Dalton Kincaid has this crazy value, even though it may be superficial, right?
Yes.
That's where I think the problem for me in just taking a single 24 first. Mike, I'm curious if you had any other thoughts on this too. I'll pull up in Sleeper just to take a look at the teams as well.
I had to take a look at his team, and his team is actually not too bad, right? Best ball, he does have 2 quarterbacks at least, so we have that going for him. Joe Burrow, Kenny Pickett, right? That's pretty much it. And nobody else is really worth mentioning at this quarterback room. So, red flag. But this is also the one, if you remember, we did the auction, and I just ended up taking like 4 or 5 quarterbacks, like I always do, QB horde. So, most of the league is hurting for quarterbacks. Running backs, he's rocking Eckler, Cook, Ramondre, right? That's not bad. Receivers, Chase Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers. And then tight end room was pretty disgusting. Was actually very disgusting. He's got a lot of rookies now. So he's got Schoonmaker, he's got Laporte, he's got Kincaid. Really the only guys I want to mention. Everybody else, all 15 of these tight ends that he has here are gross.
That bad?
Even in it, right. Yeah, even in it. I mean, unless you're interested in Bob Tunyon, Harrison Bryant, Jody Fortson, Tegan Quintoriano, I can't even say his name.
Right.
That's how much he doesn't matter. Jeremy Ruckert, right? So,
oof. I mean, we talked with D-Bro a little bit about him, but it was basically hope and prayer type stuff, not valuing him as a real asset. So, yeah, I mean, okay, when I look at the team, right? I mean, Chase Waddle, Wilson already, that's nice, and just at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're starting 12. So, man. I'll say this, like and this is a new startup, right? So at this point, and probably for the remainder of the first season, a lot of times the dynasty like spreadness of rebuilders and contenders isn't enough to say this team's not a chance to contender.
It's very close together, isn't it? Right after a startup, for most people, there's not a lot of people who just go full nuclear right out the gate. You know what I mean? And if there does, there's maybe only one guy. Everybody
maybe 2, right?
Everybody else is like, well, this guy, he feels like he's going for it because he's got older guys. But this guy, look at the young guys he has on his team. You know, if this hits, this guy could really be competing too. So it's pretty close together after coming off a startup.
Now, I will say for T-Rock's credit, this guy does have a lot of young pieces, and his bench is like, I mean, the top player on his bench projected right now is Gus Edwards, right? Gus Edwards out of the night, Jerome Ford. So, like, depth-wise, I get why you want to bet against this team. So, I guess here's the point here. Process-wise, I don't think, like, in this, I would just take a generic 24. So, I actually want to lean the other side. The only thing I will say is if this ends up becoming a top 6 pick, okay, maybe we're having a different conversation. Because if you can replace, like, if this ends up being a shot at Bowers or, you know, one of the really good running backs in this class, right? That's
replace Kincaid with Bowers and you
win.
Feel better.
Yeah. Right. But the problem is today I don't know that that's going to be a sure thing. And if it's not, I think I could probably actually move Kincaid for something else more or different, or just hold him even in a 2 tight end league. Like, I'm not as panicked to move off of these guys, and I need bodies at tight end position. So
I feel pretty sad that I wasn't paying enough attention, because we're in this league, Adam. It's a 2 tight end league. If I would have known that's all it takes was to push my 24 pick in, like, I feel good enough about my squad. I would have done that 100 times out of 100 as well.
Yeah. This is, man, it makes me actually think, Mike, I paid up for Kelsey and Pitts. If I would have known that I could get T-Rock to let me take 24-4 for Kincaid, I probably would have let somebody else have Pitts, Let me go ahead and get he's not going to score as high as Pitts, but I'll take Kincaid at tight end too, and Njoku as well on this team. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be good. So
we'll figure it out.
Oh, well. T-Rock, this also doesn't mean the trade can't work for you. Just process-wise, 2 tight end, I think, changes everything about this deal. Is the best way I could describe it for everyone.
I will give him a shout-out, though, man. He's put a lot of auto-accept trade blocks out there, and his prices have come back to reasonable levels, right? I know Scott and Eric were talking about it on the America's Game podcast, where they're talking about, everybody always wants to ridicule. But my only pushback to that is, if you've ever been in a league with T-Rock and seen his auto-accept trade blocks, they need to be ridiculed. Because he finally came down to reality, and he's getting deals done.
So the funny part is, I actually I thought this one was just the spiciest, and when I pulled it, I'm thinking this is probably a win. But he had so many trades in there, right? None of them had settings. He put like 5 or 6. It's because he adjusted his auto-accept trade block. But I will say this, actually. This is another thing I think that happens in portfolios that you got to be very careful of. And I'm also going to shout out our WoRP tool, southharmonff.com/WoRP. There's a tool there that can give you in all your different leagues WoRP and historical WoRP from years past, last year, and then when the season comes up, it'll be live time. You can pull that all up. On the auto-accept trade block, and when you're looking through your leagues, right, it is important to distinguish here. Like, when you're going to put, like, if you have Kincaid shares, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to put him out there for a first. Okay, but make sure, like, the premium is not something like 3 premium, right? Make sure it's not 2 tight ends starting, because in those type of things, right, you might want to actually add something to that on that auto-accept trade block in that format. So same thing when you're taking offers, right? If you're in a portfolio and you're just looking at this deal, in a lot of leagues, I'm probably thinking, okay, yeah, let me get the 24 first. But if I look real quick and see 2 tight ends, no, I don't want to do that. So little nuances like that I think are actually good for the show. So I'm kind of glad it worked out this way.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one to talk about.
Yep. All right, so Mike, let's get into another one here. All right, so we're looking at now Anthony Honcho gets 12-team, Superflex, PPR, lineup start 11. He's getting DK Metcalf and James Cook. He's sending away A.J. Dillon and Devontae Smith, Mike. Curious your thoughts here because, running back, wide receiver. Some people might say it's lateral-ish. What's the difference? Let's start at the big pieces.
That was my
Devontae or DK? What are we doing here?
My initial reaction out of what I saw, I was like, feels pretty lateral. Feels just lateral all around. But I will say this: there's a lot of people who like Devontae Smith, and there's a lot of people who hate DK Metcalf.
Yep.
So I don't know. I rank them very, very, very similar, man. They're the same tier for me. I do prefer DK. Just because I think in the realm of being a number 1 wide receiver, he has that opportunity. Now, whether the metrics actually back it up, he has the build. I've seen it from him in the past. Tyler Lockett's on the older side. I know they just drafted JSN, but he has that alpha ability, at least in my opinion. Not saying Devontae Smith doesn't, but Devontae Smith has a big problem called A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown is an alpha. Right? So we saw last year they can both coexist, and Devontae Smith was very, very good, which is also why he's ranked very, very high. But I slightly prefer DK. Now, I know the community might be the other way on it, and there might be people looking at this going, oh, no question about it, I'll take Smitty over DK. And that is fair. I completely understand it. For me, I am not an A.J. Dillon fan at all. I am a James Cook fan. But I do acknowledge the fact that James Cook didn't give you a whole lot last year to get like super excited about. Neither did A.J. Dillon. So that part also feels very lateral back and forth. I would prefer the James Cook side. I would prefer DK Metcalf to both of those guys if I match them up 1-to-1. But I mean, it's It is razor thin, razor close, and I can also see a world where the community as a whole looks at the other side and go, I'd much rather have Smitty, and I'd much rather have A.J. Dillon over James Cook. But I think it's a personal preference one, but I want the Anto Huncho side, to be honest.
Okay. I would say this. Like when you look at it at first, right? I look at it first and I say, okay, receiver for receiver, probably similar ranges. Then I look running back, similar ranges. So I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? And then I start to break into it and think more and more. Okay, so I think the biggest part about it, though, is like 1-for-1 right now, Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf. Like, if you want to prefer DK, like, there's no way in the world I'm going to fight you. I think that DK is undervalued, or is by typical community consensus, he's undervalued right now. But I will say, actually, right now, that in a lineup start 11 league, Mike, being attached to the Jalen Hurts offense is the tiebreaker for me when I look at the format. And when I look at that, and I also say, like, to your point, right, A.J. Brown is an alpha. But, I mean, man, I'm not going to say that is a problem for Smith anymore, because he proved this year that it wasn't. And he still is existing as an alpha even then. 136 targets. I mean, the dude balled, and actually towards the back half of the year was earning more targets than A.J. Brown. Not to say A.J. Brown's going away or Devontae Smith's going to be this, target hog for a full season, but like he's in the elite conversation for me in the tier of, top 12.
Yes.
Solidified. Being attached to Hurts in that offense is what gives me the tiebreaker there. But then also I think about this. Let's even say you want to prefer DK. Community consensus for me is the problem here, because I think you're right. I think right now Devontae Smith is viewed by the community and most people as better than DK Metcalf. Even if you say I prefer DK, I want to make that play worth my while. If I'm going to take my preferred guy, I want to make sure that I'm getting something back in return here. For me in a lineup start 11 league, Mike, I like Cook better than A.J. Dillon, if I'm being honest. Like, I see a scenario. I saw some runs last year. I think on that offense, I prefer him. But I will say, like, that difference doesn't make up the gap in what I think the community view is. So I would have probably stayed here unless I could have gotten something more than what Anto Huncho got. I guess that's the only way I could describe it. Not that this side can't be good for you. Like, if I'm going to take that side, though, knowing what the community thinks, like, I would have needed you to kick me in something more. Even if you prefer DK. That's my biggest thing.
This is hard for me to say, because I'm an Eagles fan. I like Smitty, and I've been like a staunch defender of Devontae Smith. You and I did the little short last year or video on Devontae Smith, and it was crazy to think that he actually had a good rookie year and then went down in value somehow, and he rebounded real nicely. But Adam, I'm going to say this. I don't mean to sound like I hate Devontae Smith at all, but the pushback I have against him is everything went almost absolutely perfect for him last year, right? He had a nice stretch where Dallas Goedert was missing time, right? So targets. They had no third wide receiver whatsoever, and they still don't, right? So don't make it sound like – but they didn't have a third wide receiver. Quez Watkins is definitely not worth a shit. And they threw to the running backs the least amount out of any team in the league. The offense was very, very efficient. It scored a shit ton of points, which makes me happy in fantasy. But I have this hard time when I try to do corollaries, right? So if I'm excited about DeAndre Swift being on the Eagles because of how efficient the offense is and the fact that maybe they will throw him the football a little bit more than what they did Miles Sanders, because Swift is a much better weapon in the receiving game. And I'm also liking Dallas Goedert because I think if he stays healthy for a full year, some of the moments that he had. Now, I don't think he's an elite tight end, but he's a very good option at tight end. If I think all of those are true, I can also think that Devontae Smith is going to replicate exactly what he did last year. And if that's the case, then I think it's coming down. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to go to 100 targets or anything like that, but you talked about he was approaching 140. Maybe it's more like 120. Right? Maybe it's more like 125 tops. And you're hoping the offense stays with that same elite efficiency that they had last year and they don't take any steps back. That's my only pushback against Devontae Smith. Like, it feels like he reached the peak of where he should be, and people still keep pushing him up just a little bit too far on where he actually should be ranked. So that's it. I'm not saying he's bad or anything or dropping him down. Everything you said is 100% factual. That's when my concerns is when I look at him. I can't have all these boxes be true, because if all these boxes be true, the Eagles are going 17-0 and we're winning the Super Bowl and going to set every record for every scoring thing on offense humanly possible. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I would say the Dallas Goedert thing to me, though, like, I looked at it just to make sure I wasn't crazy. I get your point, by the way. From weeks 10 to week 14, he was out of the lineup. And during that time, he did actually, Devontae Smith, that is, played solid. But when I look at it, he was wide receiver 55, wide receiver 56, wide receiver 28, wide receiver 20, wide receiver 58, and then he did have a wide receiver 11 week. But, Mike, when Goedert was back, was actually the crazy part about the way he finished, where I feel really confident. 12 targets, 13 targets with Goedert playing in a full role, with A.J. Brown out there. And then the thing that I actually think about, which is crazy, that people kind of, at this point, totally forget about, which is wild in the point you're making at the beginning here. Week 1, the guy didn't have a catch.
Right.
The guy played a whole week and didn't have a single catch.
Didn't do anything.
I could see it being better next year. Like, my only point here is that, could it come down? Of course. Could it go up? I actually think it's possible, but like by a long shot, probably not. Like, he played really well last year. But what I will say is, in the tiebreaker of DK and Devontae, like, Seattle played really well last year with Geno Smith at the helm. I don't know how much better that offense has to go, and it's not DK's fault. Like, I think DK's a great receiver still, but I don't see the scoring opportunities. I don't see the offense being as efficient. I'd much rather have Devontae Smith in an offense that, even if it is a step backward, I think is a top 5 offense in the NFL. That's the tiebreaker at the end of the day for me. I don't disagree with you as far as, like, DeAndre Swift's coming over. Dallas Goedert could be healthy all year. A.J. Brown's a target hog. Like, maybe he's not as efficient, but, man, the community view, I think, is the biggest thing right now. I know that the community views this way. I want a better plus from A.J. Dillon or another piece in the deal to make me say I'm going to take the DK side. Even if I prefer him, it's just more about the community view and the process of that part is my issue.
Either way with the deal, like, these are deals that you and I don't make either, because they're so damn lateral or so within tiers. There's no leverage. So if
that's
I'm
the problem,
a leverage piece, then I would hold Devontae Smith and A.J. Dillon here, or if I had the DK James Cook side, I'm holding that too. Like, I'm not interested in making this deal, man. A running back for a running back, wide receiver for a wide receiver, no leverage. I'm good.
That's the thing. That the deal as a whole, in its essence, feels lateral, and then the pieces I'm actually getting, if I'm Anthony Honcho's side, feel like the community with DK as the primary piece. Right. Maybe he's a little down. So especially in that scenario, and overall, it's a 2 for 2. Like, if you want the guys in the same tier, I want a little plus. Like, if you threw a second into this deal, I'm smashing it, no questions. Or even a guy that I could make in my lineup for him somehow, right? I'm in. But just these pieces as a whole, I probably would rather not trade on either side, frankly. But anyway, that's not to say it can't work out. It's just the way I view it. All right, 12-team, 1 quarterback, PPR, lineup start 9, Mike.
What?
Mike, I mean, talking about the Seattle offense, I mean, Zach Charbonnet just landed there.
What?
I don't.
What are we doing?
The 1 quarterback thing actually is basically irrelevant here because it's no picks, it's no quarterbacks.
Right. Means nothing.
1 for 1, Kenneth Walker, Amon-Ra, like, I don't. Rock steady. How many people would actually make this trade, man? This is crazy to me.
Not very many. This is nuts. We talked about it with Debro, man. He loves Amon-Ra. He loves Amon-Ra, and I thought we loved Amon-Ra.
We do, just not quite like Debro, right?
I like Kenneth Walker. I still do. I know it took a massive hit with Charbonnet going there, like just a kick in the teeth. I don't think he's dead by any stretch of the imagination, but he definitely falls down into that, like, I don't really give a shit running backs. You know what I mean? Like,
he becomes the uncertain range. Like,
right.
Like the talent, like the player, situation, offense. I don't know that I like it that much anymore.
Without Charbonnet there, is it a stretch to say he's a top 5, no questions asked, dynasty running back?
No, because this year, no questions asked maybe because you probably throw Bijan and Gibbs in there, and maybe you're having like 5, 6, 7 conversation. Right. But there's no way to argue that he's not in the mix.
He's in that elite territory,
yes,
right? Where I look at it, for dynasty running backs, you got Bijan, JT, Breece Hall, Gibbs is now in that conversation, and then like the older ones, Saquon and CMC. Right. And then that's pretty much it. There's a group of a couple other older running backs that I like and I want on my teams. And then pretty much once you get past that, it's just, I'm good, man.
Right.
Like, if you want to be the one who wants to bet on ETN, go ahead. If you want to be the one who's going to bet on J.K. Dobbins or Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, these kind of guys, like, I'll let you do it. All right, you give me the fair value for them. You can make the bet on them, and I'll sit back and I'll figure out where I can get Aaron Jones for dirt cheap or Dalvin Cook or Kamara or whatever.
I'd rather have Nick Chubb right now, honestly.
There is no question in my mind, man. Like, I can't name a whole lot of people that would make this move straight up, and the Amon-Ra side absolutely smashed the piss out of this, right? But what did I say last night when we were talking to him? I said there's still a little bit of stink in some of the community because it's like, oh, this dude was a 4th round pick, right? He's a 4th round wide receiver.
Draft capital, yep.
For whatever reason, even if he's an elite guy for his first 2 years, people still look at it and go, oh, draft capital. It's like, at what point, Adam, like, how many wide receiver 1 performances do you need before we stop going draft capital? Like, is there a set limit? Does he have to hit like 20? Is that what happens? Like 20 weeks of being wide receiver 1, and then we're like, nah, okay, draft capital won't matter.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, the draft capital to a certain point shouldn't matter anymore. But here's the thing. When you were starting with this, to me, that was going to be my question. Let's say Charbonnet doesn't go there. Like, so let's say they take JSN, they don't use the pick on Charbonnet, in the conversation you're having where he's 5 to 7-ish range in dynasty running backs. Okay. I could see this trade maybe going down there. Like, right. I think I could make a case for Kenneth Walker. I think I'd still even then probably lean Amon-Ra, crazy enough.
That's not crazy, too, because we talked about it. I think clearly in my mind, Amon-Ra is a top 24, top 20 range dynasty asset. So in a startup, that means he's going
in Superflex, by the way, right?
Right, in Superflex, right. So that means he's going in the back half of a second round in a Superflex draft. And Kenneth Walker, if he was in that 5 to 7 range, right, he's in that conversation anyways. He's going to have a range of probably like 3rd and 4th round, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, I could see people taking him a few spots behind, like early 3rd probably, but he's still behind him in the conversation, and it's a top 8 guaranteed wide receiver in value currently today versus a top 5 to 7 running back, and that battle is typically won by the receivers head-to-head right now. So, and that's before Charbonnet, right? This deal is not even that. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. It's like
Charbonnet.
I don't have any words. Great job, man. If you can find deals like that, man, y'all, that is an edge that's crazy. All right, the Who's Blitz, Mike, Rondale Moore, Dalton Kincaid for Terry McLaurin, Tyler Higbee, 24 4th. Mike, I think Dalton Kincaid, if I can get a good picture of him, might have to be the thumbnail here. The crazy part here is both Dalton Kincaid trades, though, are in crazy formats. 12-team Superflex. So it's a half PPR for the skill players. Lineup start 10. But the kicker is it's a full tight end premium, making it 3x per catch for a tight end than it is for a wide receiver or any other skill player.
How's that mathing for me? 1.0 tight end.
So basically, the premium is a full point. So
a full catch point added on.
Gotcha. So the catch it's 1.5. Yeah. So
okay. Yep.
So since it's 3x, Mike. Now, granted, it's a half point to 1.5, but still like 3x a catch. It kind of changes it here for me a little bit because when I'm looking at it, lineup start 10. All right. So first and foremost, let's just say lineup start 10. Higbee in a 4th for me kind of get to like. Dude, if I'm starting Higbee in this range, my team better be stacked around him. Otherwise, like, I'm in trouble. The 4th is irrelevant. Rondale is a roster clogger in this format, especially half PPR. It's just no thank you. So now, like, the essence of the deal here for me, Mike, is Dalton Kincaid versus McLaurin.
McLaurin. Yep. And I would say if this was just your traditional 1.5 tight end premium, start 1, I could see you going either way. The community is probably going to want Dalton Kincaid, right? That's the hot name. Yep. I personally would rather have Terry McLaurin. Like, I like
in Terry a standard McLaurin format. Yeah.
Yes, your standard tight end premium.
Full PPR for the receiver, PPR, and the tight end gets a half point bump. I'd agree with you there. I'd rather have McLaurin.
I'd rather have McLaurin over Kincaid straight up. In this one, though, like, because it's so close in that one, yeah, I'm taking the Kincaid part. And let me say this too. I'm not a big Tyler Higbee fan. Some people really do like him, and he had some moments last year and yada, 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 whatever. I'm kind of with you. Just irrelevant for me, right? Just a depth piece at the tight end. That's all I really care about. The thing that you cut me deep with was the Rondale Moore roster clogger, all right? I still believe. He had moments. They got rid of D-Hop, and Hollywood Brown is not that good, in my opinion. So Rondale Moore, man, he's still got some value even at a start 10. All right, I said
that's why I made the clear and utter. Well, first of all, I like the kid. I want him to do well. I still have some shares I just couldn't move because no one cared, but like it benefit me to him do well in a full PPR. Like he's probably a roster clogger that I'm going to hold on to because I believe, right? Half PPR for me here is like, okay, that's going to be his thing if he does hit, is all the catches. And it's like half PPR just makes it, I can't. All my love, I can't do it in a half PPR. So now, if you told me it's Higbee and a fourth for Rondale, okay, I could do that. And then when the format the way it is, I'll take Kincaid over McLaurin, given it's 3X and how people are just beside themselves with Dalton Kincaid hype. So I don't know. Do you agree or disagree on the analysis of the trade?
I agree. I want the Rondale Moore to Dalton Kincaid side pretty handily.
Okay.
Me.
So in half PPR, I feel like I need to let you get it out, man. In half PPR, you're in on Rondale Moore. Give me the kick. Go ahead. Get it out.
I'm still in on Rondale Moore.
Okay,
man.
get it out. Tell me.
Half PPR, full PPR, doesn't matter.
All right, fair enough.
You saw how much time he missed last year, right? Like just an example. But he still meets that threshold of what we like to call threshold wide receivers, right? So he's not in the roster clogger territory at all for me.
Okay.
He scored very similar to like what Adam Thielen and Drake London did, right? Just behind like a Tyler Boyd like type. And this is just me looking at what they actually do when you put them in the lineup, right? I'm not looking at points per game. I'm not looking at fucking end of the year scoring or anything, right? I pull up, I look at weekly finishes. How many do they have where they actually would have been beneficial to my team? And I look at it through a best ball lens, but it also applies to lineup quite a bit for me as well, too. And like some of the names that he's above, you know how many times last year we're getting asked, like, would you start Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? Like, here are my options. Would you start DPJ? We're like, yeah, he's been playing well. Rondale Moore was better. Gave you more weeks than DPJ, right?
Yep.
Gave you more weeks than Brandon Cooks and Cortland Sutton and Alec Pierce and Romeo Dobbs and Treylon Burks. Like, this is a dude also who missed almost the entire third of the last third of the year with an injury and still gave you those. So I'm definitely not out on Rondale Moore. And then you tell me D-Hop's gone. It's like, all right. Here we go. Even in half PPR, Adam, it affects all receivers equally, man.
Sure.
They all get penalized that half point loss. So it doesn't really change a whole lot for me. I don't think he's a roster clogger. He might be a flex-worthy start some weeks. He might even be your wide receiver 3 some weeks. So definitely I would take Rondale Moore in half PPR over Higbee in the fourth. No question about it.
That part's easy. I agree with you there. I think I like Rondale still. I especially in best ball. I'm great with Rondale Moore. Certain
Trophy
lineups.
Chase is gonna hate this one, but I still like Rondale Moore.
All right, here you go. But Trophy Chase, there it is. I'll just say this: like the format's everything to me here. Lineup start 10. You're talking either starting 3 receivers and the flex, or 2 receivers and multiple flexes. Given that it's half PPR, I do know that it affects all the receivers equally because I agree with that point. But then it makes me start looking more at the running backs that I can fill into the flex spots. It's just, for me, I'm not saying that you will never have to start them, but for me, if I built my team where I have to start Rondale Moore, I don't love it in lineup start 10. That's
understandable.
That's where I kind of put him in that category. So it's not even actually that I hate Rondale Moore. It's more that I probably like him more than most people, but in this format, I'm just like, Now, if it's versus Higbee in a fourth, what are we doing? Like, sure, I'll take Rondale Moore every time there. Like, it's just period. All right, big trade here, Mike. Actually, a goose. We have actually a goose. I don't think he is actually a goose, but his name is actually a goose. Big deal here, Mike. His first deal on the trade show. Sign up for the Patron this week. Mike, 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 10. All right, so let's go through the whole deal, and then I'll try to break it down with you. So it's CeeDee Lamb, Justin Fields, a 24 first from the other team, Doombot, as well as a 24-second and another team's 24-second. That is being sent away and acquired for Lamar Jackson, Ramondre Stevenson, A.J. Brown, and Jalen Reed. So actually, a goose is receiving the CeeDee Lamb side. Mike, when I look at this trade, the first thing I like to do with these, and I think we kind of are on the same page here, like Lamar and Fields. Okay, so like
cancel them out.
For me, I'm going to say cancel. I think the community now with Lamar having a bag probably leans him. But to me, they should stay in the same tier. I don't know. If I think for a lot of people, they're going to say there's a little plus.
Well, it makes it easy, right? Even if you want to say they lean Lamar, you go to the second part, CD and AJ Brown. The community is going to lean on the other side. And go
Agreed. So let's just say when we look at this trade, you and I, we're going to cancel out the Fields, Lamar, and AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb side, right? Like we can cancel those two out. All right.
Yep.
That's kind of my thinking of it as well, because the problem here is now some people are out there big on Ramondre. I can't figure out left with Ramondre and Jayden Reed where the 24 first comes from personally. That's my biggest problem.
Wow.
Like, I'm not paying a first for Ramondre, man. I know he's probably there in value, but I'm not doing that. And then 2 seconds for Jayden Reed is a win there too.
This is the long, what we call this, the long strange journey that I've been on. All right.
You're back.
I didn't like Ramondre. All right. I didn't like Ramondre. Okay. And then towards the end of last year, I really started liking Ramondre, right? Like, I'm in. He's doing a lot of nice things. I'm in on the Rhino. And then Ray comes on our podcast and he's like, nah, you got to sell Ramondre. Got to get rid of him. All right. I'm out on him now. Damn it. I just got in. All right. So then I'm out on Ramondre. Now I'm back in. I'm back in on Ramondre. I moved him up quite a bit in our ranks, in my ranks when I did them.
Okay.
I should say our ranks, but
when
I did my part,
I got you. You moved him up in our ranks. You did. That's cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Quite a bit on Ramondre. So Ramondre for a first. Listen, I probably want the pick liquidity, right? Like, I really don't want to spend a first, and this goes for anybody who I have ranked. Tony Pollard's around there, J.K. Dobbins, Swift, Derrick Henry, like those kind of running backs. I really don't want to pay a first for him. I really don't. I don't want to pay my first for him at all. But I get it. That's probably fair value. The 2 second parts for Jayden Reed is like the smash, right? I'd take 1 second for Jayden Reed. This guy got 2. And that's what makes the top for me. The Ramondre and the first thing I understand. If you want to cancel that out by community-wise, that's fine. Maybe some people think he's worth the first and the second. I would personally advise against that. I'm not going to send that for the running backs in that kind of range ever anymore. I'm done doing that. But I guess I could understand it. But then I don't. The second for Jayden Reed, like, I'm good. I'll pivot off of this year's late second for a random 24 anytime I can. Anytime.
All right. So, I mean, Mike, here's the thing for me, right? Now, if you want to tell me value-wise, 1-for-1, that even you prefer Ramondre because he's going in the fourth of startups, like it's 412, right. But okay. I think this is one of the things that I have, especially this last year, really taken into the process that I have now. Because for those of you out there that have been following for a while, you're like, well, startup values, man. Startup values, it's Ramondre over the first. Can't fight you. But when I come to this lineup setting, lineup start 10. See, I can't do it anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, all right, I'm paying right now for Ramondre first. And you could even say that's a win, even, whatever it is. But I'm paying for a running back in a hoodie offense that could get injured, that so many things could happen. My team's first especially. This is my first. I'm giving up my flexibility for a running back that I don't think is locked into smashing WoRP-wise. And that's the biggest thing for me about that with a running back and a 24 first that's my own. I'm not doing that for Ramondre Stevenson. If you're telling me that I cancel out Lamar and A.J. Brown and Fields and CeeDee Lamb, that's part of the reason I say that. I can't send my 24 first for Ramondre Stevenson on this type of a build, this type of a team. Because at that point, I'm basically betting on Ramondre not just being who he is that we think he can be, we've seen in the past, him doing that for a full year, him helping my team get to the playoffs, staying healthy and doing it through the playoffs. I'd rather have my 24 first and probably be able to go buy Ramondre later. Or that 24 first probably gets a Ramondre type player And hell, you could even end up getting, Josh Jacobs. Maybe you get a better WoRP guy like last year's season. But that's the other play there for me where I'd rather just hold the liquidity for now.
In reality, like how much more does a Nick Chubb or an Austin Eckler cost than a Ramondre if we're already putting it at a first, right? It ain't very much more. Very much more.
And that's the thing, man. And I'm looking here, and so Ramondre last year, and that was a good year for him. Can we agree on that, right?
Yes.
WoRP-wise, I have a lineup start 10 league that I'm in. He was RB12 in this specific league, and he was like in the 40 ranges. So it's not even a full win. Now, if you get that, that's great. You got an extra win for your team. But if he's not that in any way, shape, or form, if he gets hurt, it's just a bad process play for me. And then you already touched on, I'm not paying 2 seconds for Jaden Reed. I like Jaden Reed. I like him more than a single 24-second, but I'm not paying 2 for him. No, thank you.
I don't know if I'm paying a single 24-second for him, to be honest. Like, he's fine. I like him, but process on the clock, that's a guy who goes at the 209, 210, 211, and somebody comes to me and goes, I'll give you my 24-second for this pick right here. See ya.
Lineup start 10, I could see that too, especially if you're rostered appropriately.
It wouldn't matter what the format is, Adam. It's just good process for me to do it in the second round. It just is. Think about it.
Let me say this first. If we're going to do this for Rondale Moore in year 3, we have to. You can't give Jaden Reed the same clout.
Listen, don't even put him in the same clout. Okay, one of them has played NFL games and actually put up NFL points and fantasy points at a decent enough clip that makes me go, I am interested in this guy.
He hasn't put up. He hasn't put up points at a decent enough clip.
Yes, he has. And the other one is running around right now catching passes on air defenses in gym shorts. Okay, so not the same thing. The same kind
but there's draft capital associated with Jaden Reed. There's rookie fever. But it's the same. The process of if Jaden Reed
I never said I would pay a second for Rondale Moore either. Okay?
No, but that's fair. But I'm saying if you're saying he's not Jaden Reed's not a roster clogger, that's what I'm kind of getting at here. So
I didn't
for me,
say he was a roster clogger. I'm saying the fact he ain't.
I'm not saying you did.
He ain't worth a second.
That's what I'm saying to you though is he's going in the second this year. A lot of times I'll just take the second round receiver that has rookie hype at this time of year because I can probably send him to some other team for more. That's the reason I make that play and caveat.
Saying it's a good process play when you're on the clock at 209, 210, 211
to take a 24-second
future 24 pick.
Okay.
Random.
Well,
who gives a shit?
How about we do this? Whether you want to take the 24-second or Jaden Reed, fine. Like I'm not even going to fight either way. But 2 24 seconds is irrelevant. It's not even close. I'm not doing that for almost.
It's disgusting.
It'd have to be a running back that fell into the second that I really believe in to send 2 of them. Like it'd have to be A-Chain or something like that to do 2. Otherwise, I'm just not.
I don't even know if you'd be comfortable pulling the trigger on 2 of them for the Kendre Miller deal that we saw earlier in the show. Like that's hey, I'm gonna send both of them.
It's probably steep. It's probably steep, but maybe if you really believe in the talent
and
the landing spot.
Right. No, actually, Goose killed this one. I want his side all day of the week.
Yes. I think the big piece here, though, is what people believe in difference from Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson. Because I think the rest of the deal is a clear win for me on actually a Goose. And I believe in Fields, so that's why I want his side pretty easily here. But I bet you there's people that are crazy as it sounds because Lamar was a cast-off
right
for early part of the year until he got that contract. So
from January on.
It's just funny how things change. Like I remember Justin Fields the first 5 weeks of the season. People in Dynasty are panicked. I want out of Justin Fields' business. It's funny how things can change because there was a time I bet you in January, February, people would say, "All right, man, just go get Fields. He's gonna be the quarterback there for a little while. Lamar may not play for a whole season." The fickle beast of Dynasty, man. The fickle beast of Dynasty. I want actually Goose's side.
I need a Justin Fields jersey. That's what I realized.
I think you do need one. Burnt orange, or are you going to go the blue?
You got to go the burnt orange,
right,
baby.
Good.
I'm not even a Bears fan, and I actually, to be honest, I kind of fucking hate the Bears, man. Living here where I do on the Mississippi and too many Bears fans and Packers fans, I despise them. But I just feel like I'm out here like Jon Snow sometimes, trying to fight the good fight for Justin Fields. We did it last year. We stuck firm. This show, we did not panic on Justin Fields through the first 5 weeks. We stuck firm and we were rewarded. And everybody came around on him, and now it's like everybody's back off of Justin Fields again. I don't understand this, but so, whatever. I'm still here, Justin. I'm still here, man. Anytime you want to come on the Dynasty Trade Show, you can break down your own trades. Anytime somebody trades for you, I'll have you on, buddy.
There you have it. Justin Fields. We're a fan of Justin Fields, so there's no denying that. I thought it was a interesting trade show. Couple good deals, couple clear exploitation, exposing people out here, picking their pocket, like Jason Tatum in Game 7. But anyway,
shots fired.
Game 7, man, choke artist. What do you want? It's so frustrating with them. I'm not a Boston fan, but like you watch them, they have all this talent, and then they're the most inconsistent, fraudulent team ever. Like you'll see Tatum go for 51 in Game 7, then he has I'm not gonna say he didn't get hurt, but all of a sudden he's worthless because he sprained his ankle, and the team just shrinks after coming back 3 games. Anyway, that's kind of completely off topic here. Another good trade show in the books Saturday morning. We appreciate everybody tapping in. If you could go down, hit the like, subscribe. Comment, let us know you're a hater of Boston. Mike's a Bears hater, even though he likes Justin Fields. Whatever you want to tell us, we love to hear it. We love the comments. We love the discourse. Mike, anything you wanted to talk about before we get out of here, buddy?
That's all I got, man. I'm talked out. People are gonna be mad. This went way too long, but this is why I get to run my own company. I get the benefit of the doubt. Just do what I want. So there it is. Long ass trade show, but there was some good deals, Adam. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the patrons dropping them in there, especially the newer ones. Having the courage to put your deal on. You don't know exactly what we're going to say. Sometimes we agree with you, sometimes we don't, but good things to discuss, good topics to go over, and hopefully help you guys out who are watching this. If you got something similar, give you some ideas in your leagues. I know I'm going to go send some trades out for Rondale Moore. I'm going to see how many Adam has, and we'll just pry him off since he's a roster clogger. He's dead.
Yep. You send that 24-second, he can go your way every single time. We'll send them your way every time. The other thing is, Mike, we don't play in any lineup start 10 leagues. All right. Every league that you and I play together is a best ball league, and there's a different conversation on Rondale Moore. So you better come correct, damn it, best ball. All right. You better come correct at best ball. All right. I like Rondale Moore still. Just I hate half PPR lineup start 10. Anyway, we appreciate everyone tapping in. We're out of this thing. We'll see you back here, same time, same place. Peace.
Peace.